Hello. The Divine Code reading for April 2nd, pages 599 and 600. We are in the chapter Laws of Returning Stolen Objects and Restitution for Theft. Topic number 16. If one stole an item and it became completely ruined, for example, an animal and it died, or a vessel and it was destroyed, or wine and it soured, or the stolen item was lost, or sold, or given away after the owner despaired of regaining it. And now, at the time of the thief's court case, the market value of that commodity has decreased. The thief must pay the victim of the theft for the stolen item in the amount of its value at the time of the theft. So we're dealing with a case where the item is no longer available. You can't just return the item. Something happened to it and it's gone. It's no longer, it broke, or it was sold or lost. So what does the thief have to return? Let's say an item that at the time of theft is worth $100, but now due to forces, economic or market forces, now the item is only worth $50. In that case, the thief can't just return $50 because that's what it costs today. The thief would have to return the value of the item. You would have to return the entire $100, which was the price of the value of the item at the time of the theft. Likewise, if the market value of that commodity has increased, then if the damage or loss of the stolen item happened on its own, and on its own is the wording of Rambam and Shulchan Aruch, see Sefer Mirat Eliam 354:7 and 362:20, that this is to exclude any damage that occurred due to negligent safeguarding, for which the thief would need to reimburse the owner for the value of the item at the time it was lost, just like any damager. So okay, so it changed. The price of the item changed, not due to what the thief did to it, but rather the price changed because that's the market value of the item now. Let's say the thief has it for 50 years, and now it's an antique, and it's worth much more than what it was worth when it was stolen. What would be the factor there? The thief didn't do anything to turn into an antique. It just the time went by. If it was due to negligent safeguarding, for which the thief would need to reimburse the owner of the value of the item at the time it was lost, like any damager, this is the opinion of Taz Koshan Mishpat, end of chapter 362. However, Kitzit and Nevi'at, chapter 354, argue against the opinion of Sefer Mirat Eliam and say that as long as the thief did not directly damage the stolen item, he need only reimburse its value at the time of the theft. See Batiki Teshuva Koshan Mishpat, chapter 354. This footnote would seem to go more with the earlier paragraph, but anyway, okay. So if the item was changed, if the item changed in value while in the possession of the thief, not due to something that the thief did, but just due to market forces, just things that happen. And there's some arguments that the thief should also reimburse the new value if it increased. Other opinions is that it just includes the whatever the value. The thief needs to return the value of the item at the time of theft. If the thief only needs, okay, okay, yeah. So this paragraph is if the item increased in value, so now it's an antique because time 50 years gone by. Now the object is instead of being a $10 chair, now it's a $100 chair. If the item broke while still in the thief's possession, the thief makes out a report that it broke, and they say, wait, this is a stolen item. You got to give it back to the guy. And does he need to give back the $10 or does he need to give back the $100? And apparently there's some people would say he needs to give back the $100, but it appears to be mostly, and the divine code would be saying that he just needs to give back the $10, the original value of the item. However, either before or after the victim despaired of regaining the stolen item, if the thief returned it, for example, or the thief ruined it, for example, he slaughtered the animal or broke the vessel or drank the wine, or lost it due to negligence, or sold it or gave it away after the owner despaired, the judgment is that the victim was financially damaged. So these are different questions, how it was damaged, if it was something the thief purposely did, or if he sold it, gave it to another person, before or after the owner despaired. If the owner was still expecting it back, or it was stolen, or it was sold to another. If it changed ownership away from the thief to another person, taking it totally out of the ownership of the owner, then if something is damaged at that point, so let's say the person bought an antique and it went up in value, and he damaged it, or sold it or gave it away after the owner despaired, the financial damage would occur at the time that it's damaged. I mean, the financial responsibility would be at the time it's damaged. Or at the time he caused it to leave his possession. He must pay the value of the item at the time he destroyed it or at the time that he caused it to leave his possession. So these are factors that would cause the thief to have to reimburse the owner for the higher value at the time it is damaged, or at the time that it left its possession. See Rambam Laws of Theft 114, Laws of Robbery, Chapter 3, Shulchan Aruch, Hoshan Mishpat 354-3, and Chapter 362. Rabbi Zalman and Kimya Goldberg comments that the issue of whether one who steals and the item appreciated in value and later the thief damaged it or the like must pay for the item's worth at the time that the theft or the loss is an argument between the Kidzuk HaKosham and Nevi'at HaMishpat, Koshan Mishpat, Chapter 34. The author's opinion inside inside meaning the Hebrew version of this book fits the opinion of Netziat HaMishpat, whether Kidzot HaKoshan there disagrees and holds that the thief may reimburse the amount of the worth at the time of the theft. Okay, so if the earlier paragraph would be if the item changed value on its own. Okay, on its own might be if it's lost, maybe if it's stolen, if a ox came along and knocked it over, something that was not the responsibility of the thief. Then he reimburses it at the time of theft, the value at the time of theft. If the item that increased in value is damaged or sold or given away by the owner as an active thing by the owner, then the owner is responsible for the value of the item at the time that it was damaged. So if the item was worth $10 when it was stolen and it was worth $100 when it's lost or damaged, then if the thief was not really responsible for the damage, then he only has to pay the $10. If he's responsible for the damage or loss, then he's responsible for the value, the higher value of $100, which would be the value at the time that it was lost, damaged, or went out of his possession. And there are some opinions that would say no, that thief would still only have to pay the amount that it was worth when it was stolen. But the majority opinion and the opinion of the Divine Code is that it's at the be at the higher value in this case. Topic number 17. If one stole an item and then it became broken or its value decreased on its own or by the action or negligence of the thief, this loss of value is not evaluated. That is, the thief cannot fulfill his obligation by giving back the broken item or reimbursing the owner for the decrease in value caused by the breakage or depreciation. So if the thief stole something and it was damaged, and because of the damage now it's worth less money. Now we're not figuring out whether or not it increased in value during the intern, but rather we assume that it's a $10 item that was worth $10, and at the time it's damaged, it's still only worth $10. And it hasn't been destroyed; it's just been damaged. It'd be like my teacup here has a crack on it. It still functions nicely as a teacup. I'd still call it a teacup. If it was completely damaged, it'd just be shards of porcelain, but rather it's still an intact teacup with a piece missing, the chunk missing out of it. So it may have been at $10. I may have purchased the teacup for $10. Now it's only worth $8 because of the minor damage. And would the thief have to reimburse the $10, or would he only have to reimburse the $8? So what it says here, the thief cannot fulfill the obligation by giving back the broken item and reimbursing the owner for the decrease in value caused by the breakage or depreciation. So if someone steals a teacup and a chip breaks off of it, he can't bring the teacup back, say, here, it was worth $10, now it's only worth $8. I'm going to give you the teacup back, and I'm going to give you $2 to reimburse you for the depreciation of value. The thief cannot choose to do that on his own. Instead, we evaluate the value of the vessel at the time of the theft or at the time of the breakage or depreciation. If the thief causes the loss after the item appreciated in value while in his possession, as explained earlier, okay, so if the teacup appreciated in value because now teacups are more valued in society, now it's worth $12, then we would value it at $12. If it's still the same teacup as it always has been, it's $10. Then it's evaluated at $10. The thief needs to pay the full higher value of the victim of theft, and the broken or depreciated item belongs to the thief. So in the case of the broken teacup, and it doesn't say in here whether the thief broke it or it got knocked over by the wind and cracked. In either case, because we're not going to expect the owner to accept back a broken teacup, whatever evaluation it is on the value of the teacup, either $10 at the time of theft, or if it's $12 now for a teacup, whatever the higher price is, the thief pays the owner, the victim, the higher price, and then the thief now owns the teacup. If the owner wishes to keep the broken vessel for himself and receives payment from the thief for the depreciation in value, the owner may choose this option. So maybe the owner wants his teacup back. He knows it's broken and it's only worth $8 now instead of $10. He wants his teacup back. He likes that teacup. So he takes the teacup back and he receives from the thief the depreciation, the extra $2. The owner can choose the thief cannot choose to do that. The thief doesn't have does not have that as an option for himself. He can't choose that himself. However, the owner, the victim, does have the ability to choose whether he wants the full value back in money, or if he wants the item back with the depreciated value reimbursed to him. That's the choice of the owner. Rambam, Laws of Theft, Chapter 1, The Laws of Robbery, Chapter 2, Shulchan Aruch, Koshan Mishpat, 354 and 362. Maggid Mishnah explains that this is speaking about a case where the object name has not changed by the breaking, rather only depreciated in value. But if the name changed, this would constitute a substantial change in regard to regardless of what the owner preferred, the thief would acquire the stolen object and would only be obligated to reimburse the item's worth at the time he broke it. So this okay, so in the case where the teacup is damaged, but it's still a teacup. We still call this a teacup, or whatever you call this. It's damaged. Some people call it a soup cup, but it's damaged, but it's still functional. And in that case, it still has the same name. The name refers to the essence of the item, and this would be considered a cup. And if the cup was damaged to the point that it no longer would be called a cup, now it's just called shards of porcelain, then it would no longer have the same name. It would no longer have the same essence, and therefore it can't just be returned as such. The owner cannot demand back his shards of porcelain and the depreciated value of it, because it's not what the shards of porcelain is not what the thief stole. The thief stole a cup. And so in the case where it's shards of porcelain, the owner cannot force the thief to give it back, because it's not what belonged to him before. This enactment. Now, when it says enactment, that's referring to at least that would seem to be that's referring to a rabbinic ruling. So this is a dinim that may or may not apply directly to Noahide courts. Might have wiggle room with regard to this. They may decide that they would allow the owner to force the thief to give it back. But according to normative halakha, the way it's being expressed here, this enactment that the thief must fully reimburse and cannot give back a broken item to pay only the difference of its worth is for the benefit of the victim of the theft. Therefore, if he desires, he can force the thief to return the broken, stolen object, just as any other stolen object that is still intact. Maggid Mishnah asks why the law is that one who breaks a vessel, although he is changing it, does not acquire it with the damage. He answers the case is referring to a vessel that can be used in its original manner, and therefore it has not undergone a permanent change. See Taz Koshan Mishpat, chapter 354. Okay, so the question is, if in the thief's possession, if he chipped a piece off of a vessel, would it not now belong to the thief? Because if it's chipped, it would seem that it should belong to the thief. It's no longer it no longer would have the name of a proper teacup. Now it's a slightly damaged teacup. It's still usable as a teacup. And apparently, because it can still be used in its original form, therefore it's not, it hasn't fully gone into the ownership of the thief. It does not become acquired by the thief. See Taj Kosha Mishpat, chapter 354. Their intention appears to be that a provisional change is the middle ground between a complete change for which the thief acquires a stolen item based on Torah law, and no change for which an item should be returned to its owner. In the middle ground, it is possible for the Torah sages to make varying enactments as they see fit. So this is an area between the two extremes. One is that the item in its original condition, then obviously that goes to the owner. It'd be returned to the owner. Or an object that is destroyed outside of what it would no longer be called what it used to be, and in which case the thief pays for it. In this in-between zone, it's sort of a hybrid between the two extremes of the law. The two, the black and white black and white is on either side. This is a gray area, and therefore the sages created rules to explain how to work through this gray area. And again, as it's rabbinic in origin, the local courts can decide how they're going to handle this. Also, there's a certain allowance for the courts to step in and make, but this is the way it's recommended to be handled. In this middle ground, it is possible for Torah sages to make varying enactments as they see fit. Likewise, in the case of a broken vessel, the enactment is for the better of the victim of the theft, such that if he desires, he can force the thief to return the item, just like any other stolen item that is still intact. So, because it's an enactment, the way it's handled is an enactment of the sages. The owner of the item is given leeway to choose if he wants the item back with the reimbursed depreciation in value, or if he just wants the full price of the item. And that choice is given to the owner, the victim of the theft. However, if the thief stole an animal and slaughtered it, he must pay for the entire animal, and its carcass belongs to him. This is similar to the broken vessel. If it's completely broken, he cannot Even if the owner wants it back, the owner cannot demand it back. The thief has the choice because now the thief has possession of the item. He has acquired ownership of the item and was only required to reimburse the owner for the value, the original owner for the value. Even if the owner wants to keep the slaughtered animal, he cannot force the thief to give him the carcass and pay the difference in value of a whole live animal. So the owner says, "Hey, wait a minute! I was counting on that animal for our meal this week, and he wants the carcass back, and he'll pay the thief the difference in value. The goat was worth $20 live, and now it's worth $18 as a carcass, and he'll pay the thief the $2. No, the thief will pay him the $2, and he'll take his carcass, and he's going to eat it. He's going to eat a goat anyway for that week. He can the original owner cannot force that, because at this point the ownership he no longer has the ownership of the animal, the item, but rather the thief has gained ownership of the item. Therefore, the thief can make a choice about what to do with it. Since slaughtering the animal is a permanent change of a live animal, the thief acquires it. So now the thief has the carcass. He has to pay the owner the value of the carcass, $20 or whatever the value of the carcass is, and now the thief owns the carcass. If he wants to, he can sell it back to the owner for the other $18. But that's entirely in this case where it's completely changed, and now it's changed ownership. The thief now has acquired it and has the choice of what to do with it. Thank you.